The NFL preseason is officially in the books, and that means that the NFL regular season is just around the corner. But we got to put a bow on the rookie quarterback performances that we've seen throughout the preseason. And we're going to be talking about the top 3 selections from this past year's NFL draft: Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud. How did they perform overall this preseason? Now, when we look at Bryce Young, I think he was pretty solid. Okay, Carolina's offensive line got him damn near broken in half their first 2 games. In their final preseason game, they looked a lot better. They had a really good drive where Bryce Young threw his first touchdown in the preseason. But overall, when it comes to Bryce Young, I think that he's going to have a really good rookie season. But he's going to be having to carry Carolina on his flimsy, scrawny little back because they don't really have much around this dude. And if you've been listening to this podcast for the whole entire offseason, you would know that I am a huge Bryce Young believer. I feel that he is a generational talent. He has a really high football IQ. He's really methodical when it comes to getting the ball out fast, playing within rhythm. He also can extend plays. I mean, Bryce Young, he may not blow you away physically or athletically, but I promise you that by the end of this season, he's going to be at least viewed as a top 12 quarterback. He has a lot of upside. I think that a lot of people are overlooking just how good this dude is because of his size. And you got this overblown narrative that because he played for Bama, that he was carried by the talent around him. If you listen to Nick Saban, he would tell you that they were too Bryce Young dependent. And that's not me making that up. You can go listen to that shit yourself. Just look up Nick Saban's comments on Bryce Young. Like, there's a reason why they overhauled their whole entire coaching staff. Obviously, something wasn't working. They were way too dependent on Bryce Young to the point where their only losses came where he wasn't on the field. And looking at the Carolina Panthers, you got Frank Wright. You got a really good coaching staff around them. I just wonder how this offensive line is going to hold up. And is he going to be able to survive a 17-game regular season? Because he already was getting beaten to hell in the preseason. Those hits add up. Now he has 1 week to heal up and rest up. And we're going to see what he does against the Atlanta Falcons. I hope that he shreds the Atlanta Falcons, man, because I'm so tired of Atlanta Falcons fans like shitting on this man. Like, I really hope that Bryce Young really lets his nuts hang against the Atlanta Falcons. And I know I'm supposed to be a little biased. I'm supposed to keep it unbiased and keep it neutral, but I'm really tired of people like sleeping on Bryce Young. This is a fantastic quarterback. This is one of the highest graded quarterbacks that I've ever evaluated. And I think that a lot of people are going to realize week 1 why Bryce Young was taken number 1 overall. My boy CJ Stroud, man. CJ Stroud, this was a roller coaster ride of a preseason for him. All right. His first drive of the preseason against New England, it was an interception. Against Miami, he looked better. Against New Orleans, that was his best preseason performance. And that's what you want to see out of your young rookie quarterback. You want to see him getting better every single game, every single rep. CJ Stroud, I would have loved to see him in for a little bit longer than how DeMeco Ryans and their offensive coordinator allowed him to play. I mean, at most, he only got, 3-4 drives at most. I would have liked to see him play at least the whole entire full half, like how Indianapolis did with Anthony Richardson. Now, CJ Stroud, his accuracy has been on point. In the pocket, when he's had time to sit in the pocket and make throws, he's looked pretty good. What has really impressed me has been his athleticism. Now, the biggest question with him was after that Georgia game, we're wondering if he was going to be able to do that crap again, or if that just was a one-off performances, because against Georgia, we never seen CJ Stroud run like that before. Like, he was looking like Lamar out there. And we thought that maybe he just had the Holy Spirit in him for that one game, and that once he went to the NFL, that was going to evaporate. But CJ Stroud, this dude got some wiggle, and he has some serious speed. And I think that he's going to be a little bit of a focal point in their running game this year. Although you don't think of CJ Stroud as that kind of quarterback, He's one of those quarterback prospects that has a lot of underrated athleticism. You remember Josh Allen when he came out? Like, we knew Josh Allen was athletic, but I didn't think Josh Allen was going to be moving like that. I think that's going to be CJ Stroud. He has the ability to get outside the pocket and make a lot of things happen with his legs. Like, he's not one of those guys that just can pick up 3-5 yards. Like, if you give this man some space, he can get an easy 40 yards on you, and you may not even think it, because he's more of a strider. He's not one of those runners that once he gets the ball, he's immediately cutting upfield. Like, he's one of those momentum runners that gets faster as he continues to run. CJ Stroud, his decision making, it wasn't that great. I feel like it could have been better. You know, that interception that he threw in the first preseason game, trying to hit Tank Dell on that corner route, you know, really head scratching. But I think he's going to be a little up and down this year. I don't think he's going to be as much as a roller coaster that Anthony Richardson is going to be. But I do think with him having to face the Baltimore Ravens week 1, that's going to be a really tough game for him. Okay, like, you saw what New England did to him, and that was just the preseason. Now we're in the regular season, they're going to be disguising all their coverages. There's going to be a lot more work that he's going to have to put in to really understand what defenses are throwing at him. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to struggle, but I do think that there's going to be some growing pains along the way. Plus, they got a pretty young wide receiving core. Even though there is talent, Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson, you got some vets in here like Robert Woods. But for the most part, I think that CJ Stroud, his preseason was, if I had to grade it on a A through F scale, I probably would give it like a B-. You know, it wasn't anything that blew me away. He did have the interception. He wasn't as clean as what Bryce Young was, but he did have some really impressive moments where he was playing well within structure. And when he gets in rhythm, he's really good. Like, when CJ Stroud is clicking on all cylinders, and, you know, he has clean protection, and he gets a couple of passes where, you know, he has 3-4 in a row that get completed, and he gets hot, he's really hard to stop. And against New Orleans, we kind of saw that. So if the 49ers can do a really good job at finding ways to ease CJ Stroud into games, I think that he should end up having a pretty solid rookie season, as long as they do a good job at not asking him to have too much on his plate early on in certain matchups. It's like against the Baltimore Ravens, like, you just can't ask CJ Stroud to throw the ball like 30, 40 times. You can't ask him for his first couple of drives to throw the football so much. It's like they have an offensive coordinator that comes from that Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. So it's like they're going to put a lot of priority on running the football with Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. So it shouldn't really be any games where CJ Stroud has to go in and he automatically has to prove himself. He automatically has to be asked to do so much. The 49ers, if they can find a way to ease him into games, try to get him in rhythm early, he could be really, really good and really hard to stop. That's the problem with CJ Stroud at times, is that he can be somewhat of a streaky player, especially late in games. But if you can get him going early, he can produce for you. The Anthony Richardson experiment, we all want to know how it's going to play out. Either you think that he's going to be successful or you think that he's going to be a bust. His preseason was what you expected. You know, he has made some improvements. He looks really comfortable in the pocket. Like, Anthony Richardson is so comfortable in the pocket is that even if you have a defensive lineman that's closing in on him, he's not immediately just going to bail out and look to run. Like, he's willing to take hits to make plays in the passing game. I don't think that his pocket presence is really that much of an issue. His pocket awareness, I think, is pretty good. Overall, his mechanics have to get better. And his mechanics were really up and down throughout the preseason. Watching him play, at times it seems like the ball kind of comes out too high when he's throwing to these receivers. It seems like they kind of got to work a little bit harder when he throws the football. The ball also comes out with a lot of velocity and power. Like, oh my goodness, man. The way he throws like a 3-yard out route, it's like, damn. Like, there was a play in their last preseason game where he threw a pass to Michael Pittman, and I think that it hit Michael Pittman's body to the point where he knocked the wind out of dude. So for Anthony Richardson, with his arm talent, he can make any throw. It's just about, is he going to be able to make the right decisions? The athleticism, I mean, it's unbelievable. This dude is 6'4", 6'5", 255 pounds, running 4.4 something. It doesn't matter if you're not that great of a passer. With this kind of athleticism, there's a way that Shane Steichen can find a way to build an offense around that. Remember Justin Fields last season? He wasn't the greatest passer. And the Bears still had some games where they had opportunities to win because Justin Fields' ability to break the game open with his legs. Anthony Richardson is 255, running 4.4. Like, you got to kind of change your defense when you go against Anthony Richardson. I mean, it doesn't really matter how many guys you put on the line when you got a guy like this, with this kind of athleticism and power, he's going to break a couple of tackles. I mean, like, there's been plays during this preseason where Anthony Richardson was running a read option, the defensive end would stay and contain, and it wouldn't matter. Like, Anthony Richardson would still stiff arm him to the ground or just throw dudes down. He's like Derrick Henry playing quarterback. There's not too many teams that are going to have an answer for this shit, man. I'm trying to tell you guys. Anthony Richardson, his passing ability is to be desired. All right, there's a lot of work that he needs to do, but there are moments where he will have some flashes where he'll show you what he can be once he has everything put together with his mechanics and when his footwork and everything gets to a consistent point where he can make those routine big throws downfield look effortless. You saw that drop touchdown against the Buffalo Bills that Alex Pierce had. That was a beautifully thrown ball by Anthony Richardson. It's not like this dude is going to go out there and just be completely garbage for the whole entire season. Like, there's going to be some games where Anthony Richardson goes like 9 of 26, 86 passing yards, but has 102 rushing yards. And there's going to be some games where Anthony Richardson goes 20 of 32 passing for 300 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, and also has a touchdown or 2 on the ground, and he just looks unstoppable. That's what Anthony Richardson is going to be his rookie season. He's going to be up and down. His preseason performance was up and down. Watching him in the preseason should pretty much give you an indicator of what he's going to be this year.